So Dale, yeah, just to take you through a bit about myself and the channel. It's a food and agribusiness channel that I started with the aim of interviewing people doing interesting things in the food and agribusiness industries. Yes, that's how I got to know of you and actually invite you to the podcast. If you could just tell us a bit about your operation, the business. What is it that the business is engaged in?
I'm a part owner of Ficke Cattle Company and Grazemaster Genetics, and we're in southeast Nebraska, Pleasantdale, just west of the capital city, Lincoln, about 14 miles. I do have extended family involved in this operation.
Okay, all right. So let me just get it, make sure I've got it correct. That you are in the cattle breeding industry. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a cow herd, and then we also have some farmland where the soil health is a big part of what we're doing, and so yeah, the cattle and building healthy soil is kind of where we hang our hat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. And who would your client base be, Del?
Our client base is everyone from individual farms and ranches to agriculture companies to companies now that are looking at the carbon deal. So carbon, brokering some carbon stuff, things like that, or lining those up with the people where they can, buy and sell carbon credits, developing those programs, on how do we really build that soil to sequester a lot of carbon. You name it, we've got our client list is very diversified and much appreciated, because there's really no one that can't fit into what we're doing, because we have a wide base of what we're doing on the consulting side to really help people through the communication channel, through the genetics, through the soil, through the connections on more of a global type setting. So we're a regenerative ag operation. Regenerative in our thought process is doing the right thing. It's a common sense approach to how we raise our cattle. We trademarked our own breed of cattle a few years ago, call them Grazemasters. They're acclimated to our forage and to our system, and so we're very heavily involved in the cattle breeding side, but equally as involved in the soil regeneration and building healthy soil. So we've come a long ways. We've done a lot of things very mainstream. In the last 10 or 15 years, we've really switched to try to do the right things and be in sync with nature.
Excellent. Okay. And you said that you rebranded, or I think it was that you rebranded or you produced your own breed of cattle. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Grazemaster breed we trademarked in 2015. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of 4 breeds: Hereford, Red Angus, Simmental, Aubrac, that we put together. That like I was saying, is very suited for, or nearly ideally suited for our forages we have here, for our weather, for our end product, which is our small meat company, where we want to raise the absolutely most healthiest, beautiful, tasty piece of meat. We want to know every one of our customers, they're all family, and or they become family. And the Grazemaster breed is a breed, but it's a bigger philosophy than it is a breed, because we take that in our consulting business, and we can build breeds all across the world for people that are looking for something like that, for very well suited cattle genetics in their area. So it's an exciting, way different approach than a lot of people look at, especially the cattle side of things, where they might be tied into just one breed and doing things a certain way, where we really push the envelope, kind of blow it apart and do cool things and just try to help people. We want everything to be in sync with nature, because for so long we've went against that, and it hasn't been successful, and it can't be successful for people when you continue to go against it.
Right, absolutely. How different is it from other can I say breeders, or other competitors in the industry?
So, we picked out certain traits that we really wanted to concentrate on, and our theory, our belief, and I think there's some merit to it, is you can't build the perfect beast with a single breed of cattle. Every breed contributes something really, really well.
Okay.
So what we've done with the composite is we've taken breeds that complement each other in some way, shape, or form, yet do different things that kind of bring an outcross or a different avenue to what the other breeds are doing. So, based on a lot of operations, and we used to be this way, we're 100% a grazing outfit now. We do not use any, vaccinations, any antibiotics, any additional growth hormones, nothing like that. It's 100% all natural. It's beyond organic. And it's, we know we can do that with breeds all across the country and build it for people. But what we want to do here is always make this the proving ground that it works here, because we would never want to promote anything that did not work for people.
Right. Okay. What made what prompted the change to do that? To make the change, Del?
Well, we wanted cattle that took care of themselves, that really, flourished in our environment in a natural setting. We wanted something entirely different than an industrialized type look at cattle, where and I can't bash this too much. We used to feed cattle in feedlots and things like that too, and we just learned there was a better way, an easier way, and certainly a better way for those animals to live, because they just have beautiful lives, and people love to come and see these animals, and they're so happy, and they can pick out the ones they want meat from, and the kids can run through the tall grass and pick prairie flowers. And so I get very, very romantic about this approach to raising cattle, but it really is it's a system that we're trying to get as in balance as we can from, really the beginning of time. When this was all created, there was a lot of things perfectly balanced, and we're just trying to bring that back.
Right. Okay. I see. And Del, what would you say is the one piece of advice you'd give to somebody starting in your industry? Don't,
or maybe phrase it this way. You just take every bit of advice with a grain of salt, because we thought for several generations we were being told the right things to do, and in a lot of ways we were, because that's as much as anyone knew. But starting out, you want to know the history of say this cattle industry or whatever, but you really need to take a step back a couple generations from where we are now, see how they raised and when things were kind of really right before we got into this craze. But probably my biggest advice is choose your mentors well, because I've always prided myself on being a good mentor to people, because I had some amazing ones. My father, my grandfather, I had a lot of people that my dad always got me involved with. Find the right people that aren't trying to sell you something, that truly want to care. And there's all kinds of people like that out there that really want to help people get started. That's a long answer to a short question, but being very discerning is what they need to be.
Absolutely. What would you say are the biggest challenges facing that industry at the moment, or the industry at the moment?
Well, a lot of misinformation. I get a chance to talk all across the country, and I equate what the farmers and ranchers are suffering from is the Stockholm syndrome. They become friends with their captors. A lot of people just want to sell them things. A lot of people have the best intentions at heart, but maybe not the best options. So back to that discerning, you really have to choose very wisely. You have to really stay on top of not the trends, but what's worked in the past. You go back, as we think of everything's cyclical. A lot of things that were so successful have already been done. Take a step back, see what that's like. Challenges where people would think, the city and the country divide is actually something that we love, because we love to explain it. We love what our city cousins have to say. We love their input. We want them to have the best experience, the best nutritious meal. And agriculture, we don't do that. A lot of our crops and things go to feed and fuel, and a lot of the livestock isn't raised in a way that's conducive to improve health. So the challenges, we've certainly got to see weather changing here. If it's climate change or not, I've got to see so much change in the last 20 or 30 years just on this farm.
Right.
So winter environments, we don't always have the best people at bat for us in the beef industry. But the biggest, first, foremost, last, everything all-encompassing challenges, our soils are depleted, and that's one of the biggest resources. Civilizations have rose and fallen, with good soil and water and things like that. And nearly every acre of soil on this earth is depleted, yet every acre holds a lot of potential that we need to unlock, doing different things. So resources, first and foremost, soil, water, environment. We've got to come together and work with everyone. We're all in this together.
Dale, what do you believe are the most important skills or strengths required to be successful in the job and industry that you do?
Be willing to change, have the ability to change. Don't get caught up in those old ideas that, there's a certain area in there that before we got the really cool old ideas, there was a time in there that, we really did a lot of the wrong things, which we're still pretty much tied up. I mean, a lot of agriculture is. We've got to get away from, letting those people make the mistake or make the decisions, because they're huge mistakes. There's just so many different things that are on both sides of a challenge and an opportunity, and that's the way we look at it here. What is that challenge, and how can we flip it around so it's an opportunity, not just for us, but for neighbors, for community, for our global, the global economy, as we call it here, with the global and local stuff we're trying to do. And it's opening up the doors. We have lots of tours come through here every year to see what we're doing. It's on both sides of that. We have to work together. We have to open up. We have to have that balance. We have to get this figured out. I mean, we get the soil right, all of society starts to change. Everything starts to get better, and back to that's top of the list on what we need to do.
Okay, right. And Dil, what would you say is the one thing that about your field of expertise that no one agrees with you about?
No, probably everything no one agrees with me on, but I've never been one to back down, and I've always been, in a lot of ways in people's face about what I think, what we really need to do. I certainly was conditioned differently than nearly anyone else I know in agriculture. My dad was really adamant about getting me to see a lot of different farms in about every state when I was a young boy. And he said, we don't know how to farm here unless we go and see what everyone else is doing. Your backyard as a farmer rancher is very small. You're only as smart as the smartest person you're talking to. And when you think about that, that's why we have just lateral moves in agriculture, because now there's all kinds of social media and stuff like that that people can learn on. But the true interconnection, or the connection with people, it's it's rare, and it's getting less and less in agriculture because there's less and less people. I know I had a calling years ago from my grandfather that said, you're not going to be the first or the best at trying to get this regenerated, but you can be the most vocal, and that's where I come out swinging in this.
Correct. Okay. All right. I asked you earlier about the challenges facing the industry, Del. What do you believe could be solutions to those challenges?
More community, more working together, more communicating together. My grandfather always said that the day the horses left and the tractor came, the innovation came, was the day we traded competition for community. We, no longer needed our neighbors to help. We were on our own. We need to bring that back. The community component is how we're going to do this. And that's not just talking about the rural communities. It's that connection that we have with big cities and, small towns, everything like that. Much like the carbon program, we spent a lot of time working with people on that. How do we build the soil? What carbon program can they get into? It's something that everyone can sink their teeth into, from an individual to a big business, but we all know we're making it better. Yes, there's things we need to do differently, and there's tweaks that need to be made, but it's programs like that that shows the awareness that people are really understanding that there's an issue, and we're really coming together to try to make it better.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Del, did you always want to be engaged in what you're doing at the moment, currently doing the breeding and the soil? Is that something that you've always wanted to do?
The cattle side, yes. The soil deal, like I said, farmers weren't necessarily taught the right thing on learning about that or how we treated it. But my grandfather was quite a naturalist, and he was always trying to plant those seeds in my mind of how we make it better and how we can do things different. So the soil deal is my big brush. You can actually take a handful of healthy soil. It's a drug. You smell it. It's beautiful. It's making the world a better place. Connecting the cattle in sync with using the cattle to build better soil. Those two things go hand in hand. If I didn't have to have a job, I would travel and study history night and day. I just love it. And nature is what I really want to be out in and doing and romanticizing about and reading about and writing about. So it's kind of, people have called me the Walt Whitman of soils.
That's quite a compliment.
I'll take it and run with that. My grandfather used to read Walt Whitman to me when I was just a small boy, and that part really stuck. So I will take that compliment any day of the week.
Excellent. Okay. You talked about mentors, Del. Who's been your most important professional mentor? And why?
Personal and professional was my father. My father pushed me to do things to a level that other people weren't doing it, to take it to an extreme, to really make it better, not necessarily for personal gain, for that financial side of it, but to do the right thing. So personally and business-wise, my father was a huge mentor. My grandfather was too. One of my dad's best friends is right at the top of the list for being one of my mentors. He had a business that my dad worked with him on. He lived close to here. He had had done some traveling. You know, he was an educated man. It's amazing what he taught me to think differently and things like that. So his name was Chet Shaw. He was just a fabulous person, and really has helped me. He's been gone a long time now, but he has helped me so much in how I got to think. But I didn't limit myself to just a few mentors. I could find some pieces of a mentor in everyone, you know, that was not influential, but knew what they were talking about, that really cared.
Excellent. Okay. All right. What are the biggest challenges what are the biggest challenges is the industry facing right now, and how are you tackling that?
Unity. We lack unity in this deal. You know, we're still competing. You know, the U.S. government did a great job years ago of making us great competitors and not neighbors anymore. So we lack unity, or that togetherness, you know, to really do the right thing and move things forward. That's coming together, but it's, you know, there's some people really kicking and screaming as they get dragged into this, and it doesn't need to be that way. I speak a lot about balance because I believe in it. I know you can't go 100% in any way. You need that balance, you need that insight, and you need other people helping you to do it. So, you know, unity is going to save us, and the lack of unity is going to divide us and continue to divide us.
And when you say unity, is it unity between different breeders or different industries, or
everything? Between neighbors, between big business, small business, between people that don't understand maybe you know, why we even try to make the soil better, thinking that it is great, or why we even need to change up a breeding program on cattle. People have become very comfortably complacent in a lot of ways, and the unity that I dream of or think about, or at least I get to see sometimes, is a unity of educational opportunities that everyone learns from everyone else. You know, it's almost a neighborhood gardening concept, you know, where you know, we just all work together in some way, even though we're not always going to be side by side, but that unity of feeling comfortable enough to call somebody that you don't know and ask them questions, you know, back to the mentoring, back to, you know, opportunity. We need to bring that all together in this. This isn't as hard as it needs to be. We're making it way too hard, because it's just, there's a divide. There's a divide in every corner. I mean, we see this country being divided even today over things that we don't need to be being divided over. There's some people pushing things that you just wonder, you know, what's the real agenda? Well, the real agenda is that unity, or that togetherness that we're going to have back to. If we don't, we're in trouble.
Okay. And if this unity was achieved, what kind of results could be achieved? Or could
beauty. I mean, we would have beautiful plants, we'd have beautiful animals, we'd have, you know, healthier people, we'd have environment that wasn't, you know, so getting out of control. There's less fighting, there's everything, you know, just everyone being able to have, you know, just food. The basic good food is where we need to start. And it's crazy how some want to keep it out of the hands of others, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I know we can bring this all together. I've got people from all over the world that call me constantly to get my thoughts on, hey, how do we really start doing this from the soil up? Because, I alluded to, when we get the soil right, we change all of society. We do. Everyone's touching the soil. The soil's got amazing good bugs in it, like our stomach has. All that good stuff. People are busy. People have a purpose. So then, violence goes down, unemployment goes down, depression goes down. Everything, it starts getting so much better. We're all from an agrarian base. We all came from the soil, and we need to get back there, and it's way simpler. The solution is literally right under our feet.
Absolutely. Okay. And what do people misunderstand about your industry the most? No?
The change, people have always done it a certain way, and they think anyone that's coming in to make it look anything different is a threat to them. I've heard this several times, that it takes the average farmer 70 years to change. Now that seems like a pretty long time, but one example is utilizing no-till, where people do not till the soil anymore. Okay, in the 50s that started. Well, in this area, in the 80s and 90s, everyone was doing it, but a lot of places the no-till farming hasn't even, caught on, but it's starting to. So in the 50s to now, about 70 years. So, that makes sense. It takes time. It takes time to convince people, and that, agriculture people are just, they're very independent. And on the grain side of things, if they have any size at all, they have a whole heck of a lot of security from the U.S. government to keep raising that crop. They're going to be protected. So, we've got to change everything. We've got to come together policy-wise. We've got to come together environmental-wise and common sense-wise, especially.
Okay, excellent. All right. Dale, what has been your biggest business or work failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
I have done nearly everything wrong, so I have nothing but great educational experiences to offer people. I never tell people that what they can do that's going to be for sure. I tell them what they shouldn't do, because you learn more from your mistakes than your successes. Certainly not. I wish I would have got on this soil deal and really wound up this cattle deal on the genetics deal earlier, even though I've been in it all my life. To the extent we're getting now is rewarding, but years ago when we tried it, the time no one could even understand what we were talking about, and now everyone understands. Even if they don't totally agree with it, they understand what we're trying to do is most likely a better way to do it. So I have far too many failures to even be able to start listing, but we learn from all those. Like say, it's educational money, I guess, well spent.
True. Okay. And Del, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
I think it's my connection with nature. The family is important. The closeness of friends is important. But I don't need a ton of people around me. When I'm gone, if I'm known or remembered as someone that really started to change it and got it going the right way again, it's just like my phone has 600 pictures of prairie flowers and insects and all that, things that a few years ago were not on this farm. So we've brought them back through what we've done, getting it in sync with nature. So I would love to be known as a naturalist. I would love that. Maybe a bit of a philosopher, and of course, the Walt Whitman of soils would be a great way. So a lot of different things. I'll give people a lot of different options.
Okay, right, right. Dale, is there anybody that you would like to have me interview, that you'd like to learn from?
I think if you had a whole bunch of uh, really pragmatic blue collar uh, environmentalist type agricultural type people, I can't put my finger on one. The entrepreneur side is it's tied to the profitability, but it's really tied to the environment. We use a phrase around here, environmental profitability, a lot, meaning when we get the environment right, you'll profit, in the next sector. So, um, there's certainly amazing people out there that would do a great job explaining, things far better than I do on this. But I'd have to give it a little thought on who exactly I would love to have, to listen to.
Mm, okay, right, right. Excellent.
People can look up what we're doing on Ficke Cattle Company. It's Ficke Cattle Company, Grazemaster Genetics. They can sign up for our newsletter. Everything's free. They can see, we're genuinely trying to make a difference on this. And, we just want to get the word out that if someone needs some, if it's from a big business to someone just trying to figure out something on their own, we're always willing to help and really try to bring that balance and make this a better world.
Excellent, excellent.
I just appreciate you reaching out. It's an honor to do these things. And, if we influence and help one person, you and I had a very successful day.
Fantastic, fantastic, excellent. Dale, great. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this information useful, please click the like button, and please subscribe to receive new information from the food and agribusiness industry. Thank you. Goodbye.